Thousands are waiting for us. Hello, and you're very welcome along to a fresh and brand new edition of the JMac podcast. We're back for 2025, and I'm absolutely delighted to have Kevin Kennedy from the GA Sports Tracker app and Aaron Prendergast from Gaelic Games Fan TV to talk about this weekend's Alliance National Football League action. So it's going to take a bit of getting used to. It's the first podcast in about 3 or 4 months. I'm delighted to be back. I think my last show was with Stevie O'Neill, the former Tyrone footballer, and me and Mr. Kennedy picked the brains of Stevie. So it was a really enjoyable podcast. So really looking forward to getting back into the swing of things. Great to have the action back. And yeah, how are we, men? It's been a while. Mr. Kennedy, how are you?
I am good, John. I was waiting on there. See, since it's your first live stream where please do not swear. But I'm waiting on your order rego introduction to see how you get. Remember, you always used to get that right first time on the podcast.
I know. Yeah.
We never had to stop and say, "Let me do that again." There was never any answer.
And of course, this podcast is brought to you by orgaretro.com. Use my promo code JMac podcast to get 15% off on the website. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. This is going to take a bit of time. Right, but how are we? Is all good, sir?
We're all good. We're all good. Yeah, looking forward to this weekend. Long out winter. It has been a long winter. Come up for this weekend now.
Absolutely, Mr. Prendergast. How are you?
Yeah, good. Keeping well, John. Good to be back on. Good to preview another National Football League and Championship and debate the new rules and all this crack and everything else that goes with it. But yeah, no, looking forward to the league now. To be fair, because I think the club stuff is great and all the rest, but inter-county's always been what I enjoy the most, and especially with the Football League. Getting to see every county in action. Maybe if RTE show us the highlights of all the games this year, they probably won't. But it'd be great to see hear all the stories of the league and the different divisions, and fascinated to see how the new rules play out as well, like across all the different divisions. Just really looking forward to it. It's mad, I suppose, as a Dublin fan. It's been since June, last time we played, which I know we're quite used to going further than that in the Championship. So I think it's been one of the longest layoffs I can remember as a Dublin fan in terms of waiting to see the Dubs back in action in Croke Park. So can't wait to go to the game Saturday and looking forward to getting into the action.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose I was in Croke Park yesterday for the All-Ireland Club final, lads, and it was a great day, and obviously the weather played its part, and I have to say it was a very nice day for the month of January. Now I couldn't really complain, and obviously my big thing is, and I've been harping on probably the last couple of years with the All-Ireland Club finals being on St. Paddy's Day, and I was always a firm believer of them being on St. Paddy's Day, but I don't think that's going to be changing again anytime soon. But it was a very enjoyable day at the office, now I have to say. I think we'll talk about the game now in a second, but I think it was a the football, the first half, you're thinking to yourself, my God, it's not going to be like the hurling, and you're really kind of disappointed at half time to see the way the game was going, and it was just so disappointing maybe the way Eric Kieran were playing. And I suppose Enda McKinney was kind of saying after the game he was more surprised and shocked. I suppose that's how Eric Kieran really kind of set up, but to really put in a serious second half performance. Kula had a lot of work done in the first half, but it was a very kind of enjoyable, obviously a game of two halves really, in Croke Park. Yes, to Mr. Kennedy.
Yes, from the scoreline it is, John. I haven't seen any of the game apart from the highlights on Twitter. I was out all day yesterday, so I did mean to get in last night and see it, and time just got the better of me. But I haven't watched it yet. But I believe that that certainly was a game of two halves. Easy to say, but I think I was very impressed with McKinley after. He very much came out and he talked about the emotion and players going in the bus, and there was tears from the fans and tears from him, and he sort of he thought maybe that played into it a bit. Maybe that was why we were slow out of the blocks. But I just thought that man who used absolute class yesterday, class is permanent, never comes. Just the way he was speaking, he says, look, we started out bad and I'm the manager, so what comes up with me. But fair play to them, a great comeback. I think they got down to 2 points at one stage. It was dead. It was dead at half time. It was over at half time. So fair play to them coming back and making a contest of it at the very least in the second half.
Yeah, I suppose in the game itself, it was the All-Ireland Club Senior Football Championship final between Coola and Ergel Kieran. It was Coola 3-14, Ergel Kieran 1-16 in Croke Park. And as I said a couple of minutes ago, it really was a massive effort by Ergel Kieran in the second half to draw the game back. And they'll be obviously very disappointed. And I suppose my big takeaway from it is the Tyrone Club Championship is so hard to win. Like, and you know, you can make a real case for anyone in the senior championship Tyrone to win it out. Like, so to get back to that, I suppose levels and heights again, for Ergal Kieran and the things, they will be disappointed. They'll lick their wounds this week. And obviously a very good win for Coola now, it has to be said. They'll be absolutely delighted this week. It was a great game of football. But Mr. Prendergast, Coola came out on top.
Yeah, they did. They surprised me, to be honest with you. And I nearly fancied Ergal Kieran to probably nick it. I think just with the Canavans and how good they've looked in particular, how good Dara Canavans looked. And obviously we all wish him the best going off after 20 minutes with a nasty head injury. But yeah, like Coola just blew them away. And it was bizarre watching it because after 25 minutes, the score was like 3-7 to a point. Or something like that. I think they had a 14-point lead. And to be honest with you, it nearly could have been more. Like Coola had other chances as well. It was almost like the wing backs, like David O'Dowd, were bursting forward, and the Ergal Kieran forwards weren't tracking their men, and there was just so much space. They were running through the centre, they were running off the sides. Like Ergal kept going long on kickouts, and the likes of Peter Duffy just kept gobbling the ball up every time. Mick Fitz was outstanding as well. And everything that went right for Coola in the opening 25 minutes went right, and everything that could have went wrong for Ergal Kieran went wrong. And like even at that, like, because it was mad, like the second half, they reduced the 14-point deficit to 6 in the space of 10 minutes. So they still had 20 minutes left to narrow a 6-point lead. And in fairness to Coola, I was nearly more impressed with them for the final, like 10 minutes, the way they were able to slow it down. And I think you saw that probably experience of Mick Fitz and Cuffrick Byrne and even Con at times as well. Like Con getting a tackle in, like in his own, you know, right by his own goal, you know, with the last kick of the game for Ergal, I think, on one of the substitutes. So yeah, an extraordinary win for Coola. And I think I've seen there won't be a Tesla charged in Dalkey for at least a week. Which, it was probably true, to be fair.
Yeah. What was it? Was it the avocados, or who was making that joke earlier on, Mr. Kennedy? Was it something about the
oysters?
Yeah, the oysters. I think it was Johnny Murta. Yeah. So the Coola lads in for a good week. It was a great game. Obviously, the O'Callaghan brothers, I was very impressed with them, and obviously, Paddy O'Coffey Byrne got man of the match. Mr. Prendergast, he was very impressive coming from midfield, and it was overall a very good Coola performance. And look, they will be absolutely delighted. They probably got a bit of, like, in the second half, Ergal Kieran really hit them for 6 and really did go at them. And I know obviously maybe the first half probably the damage was done and they did get the job done in the end. But it was obviously a very good win in terms of, you know, the hard work was done the first half, but surely that was a big fright in the second half.
Yeah, I think it was, like, and it probably, like, it's unknown to, like, obviously with the more experienced lads, they've been there, but it was unknown territory for a lot of those lads. And like, let's not forget, I know Coola, it is a big club and they've had a lot of success in hurling, but very little in football, you know, like, so a lot of those lads, you know, probably playing in Croke Park for one of the first times, obviously along with the Leinster final. And it probably was nerves, you know, playing in a game of that magnitude, having Peter Hart putting in the performance that he was putting in. That goal definitely knocked the absolute stuffing out of him. So they were on the back foot, and they were probably maybe a little bit too withdrawn, maybe in the, you know, at the start of the game. I think they wanted to absorb Ergal Kieran. They knew Ergal Kieran were going to come all guns blazing at the start of the second half. And I think they probably dropped too many men behind the ball and stopped doing what they were actually doing well in the first half. But yeah, like, I mean, the way that Ergal went after it in the second half was commendable. And yeah, like, I suppose as Enda McGinley said, it's hard to really know why they weren't like that in the first half. If they had been like that in the first half, you know, maybe we could have been talking about a different game.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously Dara Canavan going off with the head injury as well, and obviously we send on our best wishes with a speedy recovery for Dara. And he was a big loss to that Ergal Kieran. I suppose set up the attack, leadership, everything kind of goes along with it. And I know we see a lot of comments online there saying, like, was he targeted and was he this and that? And I think I did kind of like ask the question to a lot of people, and I don't think he was targeted. I think the way Canavan was kind of stretched out and the way his body was and just the incident, I don't know in a final, Yeah, I know you see finals in years gone by and players, potentially might get targeted, but I think this one's different. I don't think he was.
No, it looked
Balls, utter
accidental. It looked
nonsense.
accidental.
Yeah,
Do you think Mike Fitz, who's a doctor, is going to go out and he knows the dangers of concussion? He knows the dangers of a head injury. Do you think the manager's going to say, go out in the first tag to get, make sure he doesn't get up the walk again? Okay, you read about Jim Gavin, you read about this great Dublin team and on. They were a team built on principles. There was a lot of value in that team, and they, not saying they wouldn't be up to the dark arts, but no one's going to go out and knee somebody into the temple. You could kill
yeah.
someone that way. Simple as that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, he was a huge loss to that Ergel Kieran set up, make no doubt about it. I love Enda McGinley after. He was obviously very composed in the interviews, and you're really thinking to yourself, he is definitely a future Tyrone manager in the making. Another year or two, maybe even after. I know thinking ahead here, but even after Malachy O'Rourke there, he could be a serious potential candidate for that job. But he will be disappointed this week, and obviously Austin O'Malley. People are kind of making the jokes that Mayo man finally gets over the line in an All-Ireland final. But Mr. Prendergast, he finally does it. You couldn't believe it, I'd say.
Yeah, it was mad, and I think I loved that full time as well, where he had a little scan to see where the cameras were, and then when he seen where they were,
that's like something Mr. Kev would do that, would he?
Yeah, I seen a lot of people giving him stick, but I was like, what, we don't have enough of that in the GA. I kind of admire that, to be fair.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a little bit of what Mayo are missing as well. Do you know what I mean? Especially in terms of a manager, anyway. But yeah, no, he's done an incredible job. Since coming into Coola to win a Dublin title. Dublin were playing not intermediate, it's senior too in Dublin, only about 3-4 years ago were Coola. So it's been an extraordinary, and obviously he hasn't been part of all that. It is a big club. There's, I think, a lot of people seeing the amount of fans, obviously, the Coola were bringing on their private dart and everything else. It is a massive club, so it's not, it's not it's not an underdog story as such, but it is to come through Dublin when you have Kilmuckle Crokes, when you have Ballymun, when you have Nafina, and then look, win a Leinster. There's a few good teams in Leinster, but you'd expect that. You would have expected them to be Coolera. But then to do what they did in the first half, obviously against a very good Errigal Kieran side, was incredible. So, yeah, no, fair play to Austin O'Malley. And, I know we might speak about Mayo at some stage in this pod, but Kevin McStay, third year. I don't know. I think Austin O'Malley might be the man.
Yeah, a few people are kind of saying that to me. After the game yesterday, Mr. Kennedy, I suppose the direction for both teams now, obviously Coola are All-Ireland champions, and I kind of did, I did say a couple of minutes ago, it is so hard in Tyrone Championship to win it out and get back to the summit of an All-Ireland. I suppose, Errigal Kieran now, what are we thinking now for the year ahead? It's again so hard to get to where they've got to. What's the future holding out for Errigal Kieran, do you reckon?
I haven't got a Scooby-Doo. Haven't got a clue. I don't know whether Enda McGinley will still be there next year. That would have been a long year for him. Him out before he gets back in the inter-county, maybe he enjoyed it that much. I don't know. I really don't know with Errigal. Errigal didn't set Tyrone Championships on fire. They didn't set the Ulster Championship on fire. Yes, they beat Cargan by a cricket score, but there's an awful lot more improvement in that team. A huge amount of improvement in that team. I think I tweeted before that just even against Kilcoo, they were not the better team. Kilcoo were, for me, a better team for them, but there was yet still a lot more improvement in Errigal, and there is still improvement in that team, but nothing's guaranteed. Without if God forbid, Rory or Dark Hanavan get injured, that team's not the same team. Tyrone's not the same team without them. That's just the importance of both them players. Something happens, Peter Hart, you don't know. And then Tyrone Championship, Tyrone just class. They don't get it all right, but 80% of it is right. In fact, that the league doesn't start to May, and then they've knockout championship. That's why it's very hard to win back to back. You get a performance wrong in other counties which have group stage, like Xantrum. Cargan have won it for 7 out of the last 8 or so. They might get beat in the league in the group stages, but you don't beat them twice in the same year. Same as Kilcoo. Kilcoo have got beaten before and down, but then they went through the back door, and you don't beat them twice in the same year, and down. But there's so much counties have their championships set up for repeat offenders. repeat winners, repeat champions over and over again. Tyrone aren't like that, so you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. That's the unpredictability of it all, but well done to Kula. They are All-Ireland club senior champions for 2025, and the celebrations are ongoing, no doubt, and well into the week. I would well believe it. I suppose, lads, we're here tonight to talk about this weekend's Alliance National Football League. It is back with a bang this weekend. We're really looking forward to the action on Saturday, the 25th of January in the Alliance National Football League. Division 1, it's the big one. Galway against Armagh in Pearse Stadium, Salt Hill at quarter past 5 this weekend. The All-Ireland champions against the All-Ireland runners-up from last year. So this is going to be a humdinger. Really looking forward to this one this weekend. And obviously, it's been a long break. Last game in July, I suppose, of note for both teams, really. Obviously, there's been challenge matches. There's been a bit of shadow boxing since, make no doubt about it. But Armagh, obviously, going in with full confidence into this one. And obviously, Galway have a bit of help from Mickey Graham this year, but we'll talk about that maybe later on. Mr. Prendergast, what do you think for this one?
I think Galway, to be honest with you. I just think, and I think for the simple reason is, look, they obviously lost that final. They'll want to put that right in what way that they can. It's in Pearse Stadium as well, home for Galway, isn't it?
Yeah, it is indeed.
Yeah, so I think as well, and I think with Armagh, like, they're, look, obviously after winning the All Irelands, there's going to be a bit of a hangover there. I think Conor O'Neill, Kieran Mackin are both injured as well. I think Galway have a very good squad as well. Like, even without Walsh and Comer, like, there's probably other lads I think that are could maybe step up. The likes of Tom McElhan might make a bit more of a difference this year. And yeah, I just think, given how the final went last year, I think Galway might just have a bit more edge, and they might come into this a little bit more prepared. And I think the league probably means a bit more for Galway than Armagh, to be honest with you. I still think Armagh stay up. I think both of these two teams stay up. But I think for Armagh, like, look, I mean, they got relegated 2 years ago and a year later won the All-Irelands. So I don't, I'm not too sure if they're going to place a huge amount of emphasis on the league. And obviously they are going to be looking at ending their drought in Ulster as well. So I'd fancy Galway probably to win it by 3 or 4. And obviously there is, question marks over Armagh and everything, the news and everything that was coming out there in the States and everything. So it's going to be interesting to see how much that affects them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, I suppose we'll talk about that maybe towards the end. But yeah, this is going to be an intriguing game. And again, like the league, we're not going to see the full deck of cards. We're going to be seeing like the main lads in rested, and there is reports that apparently Rian O'Neill is out of the Armagh panel at the minute, and it's I don't know, it could be a potential league sabbatical. So, and then Shane Walsh is kind of recovering from an injury as well. So I don't think, are we going to see the stars this weekend? Obviously, we're going to see a lot of good footballers, but obviously the entry fee players, I don't think we're going to see a lot of them this weekend potentially. But look, it's one to look forward to in terms of kind of dusting off the cobwebs for both teams. There has been challenge matches. There's probably been so on and so forth. But from that point of view, it's going to be very interesting, Aaron.
Yeah, I think it is. And as you said, yeah, like they probably will, especially open around the league. And it's I suppose, without there being pre-season competitions, although I do think it's a good thing that the pre-season competitions are gone.
Do you think so? Yeah, I thought. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Like I think it's good for the players. I think as a fan, maybe not so much, because as a fan, you get to see players play, and you kind of get an idea, right? Maybe these lads might come in, and everything else. Like, I think for the players though, overall, just with the amount of games they have to play now, probably only was the right decision. And especially when you were playing, third and fourth string teams that you would never see again for the rest of the year, games being abandoned and all this crack. So probably was the right thing to do. But yeah, like it is hard to know, as you said, with Armagh, what players are they going to put out? Are they going to go really strong? I think given that Armagh were relegated obviously 2 years ago, I think they will want to establish themselves as a Division 1 team. There's no doubt about that. But I just think Galway at home, I just think they'll be baying for blood a little bit, just given how that final went. And look, even if they win, it's not like all the dust is settled and that's everything cleared. But it would just, I'm sure it would just make them feel a little bit better about last July.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Mr. Kenny, I suppose your thoughts on this game. It'll be very interesting. Obviously, you've been a big advocate of Armagh the last couple of years. And I know obviously Jared Byrne said on late last year, or sorry, last Friday, that no one really seen Armagh's success coming. I think you put up a screenshot on your social saying that you did see it coming, and Armagh have to thank you, and Mr. Kennedy basically got Armagh got them the All Ireland. But Mr. Kennedy, your thoughts out of this one?
No, here a bit of tongue in cheek in that one. It's just a message you sent. Like, I'm not the
Don't,
only one.
don't let a lie get in the way of a good story.
No, of course not. Yes, geezer, you're welcome. You're welcome. No, look here, as a famous saying, a slap in the back's not too far from kicking the arse. And for Armagh in particular, they're relegated from Division 1 the year before. But they were going down to Kerry and getting beat by a point. They were going to Galway. They were going to Dublin. They were putting it up against these teams. The form lines were there that they shouldn't have been relegated, but they were. They got an Ulster final the year before. They got the Ulster final this year. Tactically, they were wrong in both Ulster finals. Their tactics and their setups got them beat in two Ulster finals. They could have won games in normal time. Did I have the confidence that they could have went on and won in All Ireland? As a semi-final approach, no, I didn't. As a final approach, no, I didn't. I still don't think they were the best team in the final, but they adopted their game plan against Galway to overcome Galway's strengths, which is where they get compact and they defend in that arc and they have a +1, +2 in there. They prevented Galway getting set up by hitting ridiculous shots at times. Nell Grimley's long distance one, Brian O'Neill's, Oisin O'Neill's, these boys, they were, I don't know whether it was a game plan, but it was too obvious for it not to be. They were told, if you think you can shoot, shoot. They only had 38% of the ball. Galway were the better team on the day for me. And Galway will be looking revenge from it. But I think that anybody who's anyway inclined in GAA or performance or winning, there's nothing going to be won or lost here on Saturday, particularly given that the last two winners of the All Ireland have come from Division 2, or been promoted recently from Division 2. Leagues mean absolutely nothing. It's simple as that. They always have Division 1 league means nothing. Division 1 leagues means something. It's about performance. It's about getting a performance in every week, looking at your metrics, your game plans. Are they working? Are they not working? Learning about opposition. I think they will have strong teams out at the weekend. I don't think they have anything to lose by not having strong teams. And yes, I don't think Rain will be part of the most of the league, probably coming on, but he done that again last year. He was in and out during the league last year, and it was from Championship. It's Kerry probably don't do it as much as the Cliffords, but I think boys are chopping at the bit to get game time this year, and they're going to be the biggest driver this year. If it had been last year and there was no rule changes, yeah, but I would expect maybe two half-baked teams to go out, but I expect two very, very strong teams, maybe 70-75% of what the Championship team will be, because they're going to have to look in real time here, a real competitive game of how they have been planning for the last 2 or 3 months, because they haven't been, the pre-season competitions. They're going to have to look and see how their game plans are actually coming into effect. Will Rafferty start over Blaine? Will Blaine start over Rafferty? Both of them played a half against Dublin at the weekend there. There's just so much unknowns that I don't think any team can risk not going out and giving it a good roll. I think it'll be a clinker. I think all the games this weekend in Division 1 will be good games for different reasons. I think Galway will come through, but again, it depends on their lineup. I think Armagh maybe won't be, ticking along at 100%. I think Galway with Mickey Graham in there will have a bit. No, I don't mean that in a bad way against Mickey.
I know.
It's a change. Like, unlike Armagh, if Armagh get beat by 4 points on Saturday, you can see Armagh boys walking away, fans going, look here, sure, we're back up, we're still All Ireland winners, and X, Y, and Z. Sure, we go down last year. Whereas if Galway get off to a bad start, don't get a win at home, maybe go away next week, don't get a win, all of a sudden, we're not the same team without Kieran O'Neill. We're not the same. Mickey Graham's in there. Maybe he's not delivering as much. There's a wee bit more pressure on the Galway than what there is Armagh. And it'll be interesting more from the rules perspective. I think not even the result. I'm not interested in the result. I'm interested to see what these teams have been practicing and planning for the league, based upon the rule changes.
Yeah, Yeah.
Mm.
Of course, any viewers watching in, get your comments in. Aaron and Kev are joining me tonight. Absolutely, Kev, and I think that like it is a really good thing to do, and I think it instills freshness. It instills, I suppose, kind of lads sticking about. Like I think Armagh probably are maybe right to maybe save maybe Rian O'Neill for them 3 or 4 games in the league. I think the Cliffords are right to be given that bit of an extended break. Like don't kind of release the hounds as of yet. So I think that's a very kind of smart thing for counties to do because. Like the first 2 league games and then maybe the third and fourth, then release them. But I think it's tactical, it's smart, and I like it, Kev.
It's a luxury to have. Being in Division 1 is a luxury. You can't afford that luxury whenever you're maybe down in between Division 2, Division 3, and the top half of Division 4. There'll be some teams in Division 4 are confined there, the bottom, and that's where they are. That's like say Waterford. Waterford's not getting promoted in Division 3 anytime soon. You look at top teams in Division 1, they're already guaranteed a SAM place. Whether they get relegated, they don't want to get relegated, but whether they get relegated or not, they know that they're potentially, if they go down Division 2 next year, the form lines are there that they maybe will come back up, maybe do well, given what Armagh and Dublin both done. But then you look at what Derry last year won Division 1, and then the wheels came off after that, and the year before that there was Mayo. There's no winning. There's not the game from winning Division 1 in a huge way. But there is a lot of learning to be done.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you follow news talking off the ball, lads? I think Aaron, you'd be a keen watcher, but I remember it was John Duggan. He made it. I didn't agree with it at the time, but the more I kind of think about it, and the more you're kind of saying there, Kev, John Duggan said, John Duggan is an extremely experienced journalist, media broadcaster, and I have a lot of respect for him. He said that like who remembers who won the league last year, who remembers who won Division 2, Division 3, Division 4 a couple of years ago. Like it really is.
Yeah.
Let's not beat around the bush, boys. It's all about June, July, and now May at this stage, Mr. Aaron Prendergast.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, you have Mickey Hart who won the league last year, and yeah, he's going to be managing in Division 3 with Offaly, who are probably going to be, probably bidding to stay up, really, or finish 4th or 5th. Do you know that way? Like, and it is mad to think that the man who won the league last year is going to be dropping a couple of divisions below. Like, where else would you get that in other sports? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, like if like Derry won the league last year, but I can tell you nobody in Derry was speaking about that through the winter. And the same probably for Mayo the year previous as well. So yeah, it's a strange one, really. Like I just think with how intense obviously the championship is now, the amount of games, the fact that there's like I think a few years ago you had probably 2, 3, 4 teams who are at the top. Now you probably have 7 or 8 who are at like an even spectrum. So it makes the games a little bit more intense. And then the group stages as well and everything else. So there's just more games, more demands on players, especially with the modern game as well. So yeah, the emphasis just isn't there on the league, I don't think.
And that's in Division 1, but there is jeopardy and risk in Division 2, Division 3, and Division 4. Division 2, you have to finish in a certain position to increase your potential playing in the Sam Maguire rather than a Tailteann Cup. Conor Lafferty's he's never made any bones about it. They want to be playing in the top tier competition for their development. They will push hammer and tongue to win Division 2. It's as simple as that. So they're guaranteed in Division 1. I don't think they'll get there, but they'll be guaranteed that they play Sam every year. You have Kildare in Division 3 have to make a huge statement this year in terms of where they've come from. They've announced a training plan there. They have a training team beyond that as well. So big numbers in there. They'll want to get back up into Division 3. Antrim potentially are going to go down into Division 4 again. They'll not want to do that. So right from the start, every game is a championship game for them, because ultimately we meet Armagh in the first round of the Ulster Championship. Look, the way that the rules stay the way they are, we'd be lucky to get within 23, 24 points. And that's not being, I don't mean to be disrespectful towards anybody. Yeah. That's just the nature of the beast. We are coming up against the All-Ireland champions. Last time we played them in down in the athletic grounds in the championship, was it 14, 15 points on it? And that's without the 3-pointers,
Yeah.
That's without them even having the same depth. I mean, even in that year, to Jamar Hall, there was boys started in that team, ended up in the training plan last year simply because of the depth that Armagh put in. And that's just one of the flaws with the provincial championships. Take Antrim for Mana, no disrespect, John, but up into maybe Cavan and down after that. But there's layers to this. But in Division 1, there's no jeopardy. It's about performance and building for championship.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. What do we think of Mr. Kennedy? Who's going to get the job done in Galway this weekend?
I think Galway. I think Galway.
Right.
I don't think Armagh will be overly fussed on it. They'll be looking at getting safe. I think a lot of these games, the home teams are always going to be the ones who have to be a wee bit more up for it. If you're going to stay in Division 1, you need to win your home games. And there's, as Orange rightly said there, is there 7 or 8 teams going to win the championship? I don't think so, but I certainly think that there are 7 or 8 teams who, on their day, could potentially beat each other. And if that is going to be the case, you want to be getting your home points. If you have 4 games at home, it's a massive help. If you have 4 games away, you're moving from potentially a promotion race there into, Jesus, we need to win 3 games just to stay up.
Yeah. Dangerous territory. And I suppose, lads, we move on to the next game. It's Tyrone against Derry in O'Neill's Healy Park in Omagh at 6 o'clock on Saturday night. Well, my God, these two teams do not need very little introduction towards each other. It's going to be a big one this weekend. Malachy O'Rourke against Derry. It's Kieran Mean over Derry this year, isn't it?
Paddy Tally.
Paddy Tally, yeah.
Paddy Tally this year. So look, that's going to be a huge game this weekend. Obviously, old neighbours going against each other, and a big derby this weekend once again. Obviously, we'll again very much like the Galway Armagh game. We probably won't see a lot of the stars, but looking forward to that one this weekend, Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of crossovers are in terms of Malachy O'Rourke coming from Glen, who the Derry team into Tyrone lad, and Paddy Tally moving across to take Derry. Both of them went to St Mary's at the same time, so they're good mates in that too. And both shrewd enough to know that they will need decent starts to kick off their campaign, but they will have their players wrapped to say, look, it's not winner takes all here. There's nothing won in January, but I do expect them to. I know Paddy's went beyond the 18 players that we think that Derry have and has stretched out the panel a good bit. Newbridge winning the championship this year will be a good help for them. I don't know whether young lad from Newbridge is up in the net or into the panel who does nets, but I wouldn't be surprised if he started. I thought he was brilliant throughout the Derry championship, and unlike Lynch, he's probably that bit more confident on the ball. And if you are going to rely on a 12v11, you're going to rely on pushing your keeper up. You'd rather have him pushed up. But yeah, look, Niall Morgan, MVP, 2.2 points, 2 points. If he came away with 2 points on day, I wouldn't be surprised. But again, 2 tactically astute managers who will have been trying different things over the last lot of months. Not so much for Paddy, because he's only into 6 weeks, 8 weeks. So yeah, just again an interesting game. I don't think that it's a 6, 7, 8 point game to Tyrone. I think that I think the bookies have it at 1 -1's a handicap. I think that's probably about right. I would have it Tyrone at our favourites for it, but I don't think it'll be any more than a point or 2 in it.
Yeah, yeah. Looking forward to that game this weekend now, it has to be said. And then you have the old enemies, Mr. Prendergast, Dublin against Mayo in Croke Park at 7:30 on Saturday night. And under lights, once again, Mr. Prendergast. God, this game is getting very, very familiar for you at this stage. The Mayo boys are coming up to Dublin. Will they get the job done against the Mighty Dubs in a cold month of January?
Yeah, I mean, like nothing like to whet the appetite in Dublin Mayo, Croke Park. What a first league game to go back to, in fairness. It's a hard one to go and know with this game as well. Like Dublin are going to be missing a lot of players going into this. Like, you obviously have the retirements, which we've obviously all spoke about, and Fenton and McCarthy. Cluxton obviously won't be there in the league. I would be very surprised to see any of Mick Fitz and Con there in the league. In fairness, so I don't think you're going to see any of them there. Given Coola success, Patrick Byrne and Peter Duffy, who played outstanding for Coola, might be 2 players who will come into the Dublin team later on in the year, but they're not going to feature, you would imagine. So, like, will we see Costello play? Will we see Kilkenny play? How strong will Dublin actually go? There's definitely going to be a good amount of rotation. But then again, I think there's a bit of negativity with Mayo as well. Like, I think, you don't have Killian O'Connor there. You don't have Pádraig O'Hara there. There's been a good few players that have left the panel. Kevin McStay, have Mayo really progressed? You look at how they played football over the last couple of years. Are they going to be a team who's really going to take advantage of these new rules? It's hard to know. So this is a game that really could go either way. Like, Dublin very often start league slow. Like, in our opening 2 games last year, we lost to Monaghan and Mayo, and I think that was one of like 2 games Monaghan won in the entire year. And then we lost to Mayo a couple of weeks later, and they went on a really good run towards the league final. So it's a very, very hard one to call. Like, I think it could be a draw. But again, I would not be surprised. Dublin could win this by 6 or 7, or Mayo could win it by 6 or 7. It could really go either way.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting game. And obviously the Dubs kind of coming into this, and a lot of slag in the group chat there. Will Dublin have enough? Will they have a starting 15? Will this and that? And so many rumours about this lad retiring. But retirements we do know about is James McCarthy's definitely gone. Brian Fenton's definitely gone. And then after that, it's all rumours, and I suppose WhatsApp text and so on and so forth. But I seen big Brian Fenton in Croke Park yesterday, lads, and my God, he's in the shape of his life. He literally looks like he could play for another 10 years. He really has the world at his feet, but he is taking a sabbatical. I have a weird feeling we might see him back. Mr. Prendergast, I don't want to excite you too much. I just get that weird feeling. Kevin Kennedy, Dublin Mayo.
Yeah, I fancy both of them to get relegated, to be honest. I think both of them have their own issues to be getting
I agree. I agree.
Just in terms of depth and what's going on with them. I think that if the rumours are true, what team could take the hit that Dublin potentially are? I've read an article the other day. You won't know what's going on in Dublin until that team sheet's read out on Sunday or Saturday night or Saturday day, whenever it's broke. If you find out that the Smalls are away, and Jack McCaffrey and X, Y, and Z, it's going to be very, very difficult. Very difficult. It's more than a rebuild. It's a complete clean out of Dublin players. And you know what? Every one of them could potentially still be. Everyone could still be playing. James McCarthy, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe his time is ready to go just for the age and stuff like that. But Brian Fenton and all the rest of the boys are around his age, if not younger. And we talk about likes of, again, Jesus, Antrim, Cavan, your Longfords of this world. For players to give 10 and 15 years commitment to that is hard whenever you're not winning anything. But them lads have done 10 years of winning everything in front of them. Maybe it's a fear of the new rules. Maybe it's something that's come up. They just say, I need a break here. I'm not interested in learning something different. I've done the best that I can. Maybe do need a sabbatical. But yeah, I just think that the Mayo stuff. I watched Mayo. Mayo played Ross Common. I think Mayo won handy, but they weren't impressive. It was Mayo win. Was it Mayo win Monaghan the other week? I watched it, and I wasn't impressed with them either. I don't fancy Monaghan to do well in Division 2 this year. Therefore, the performance against Monaghan by Mayo, for me, just isn't up to Division 1 standard.
Of course, I'm joined by Aaron Prendergast and Kevin Kennedy tonight, guys. If anyone has any comments, get the comments in. We would love to create a bit of debate and get the questions in, lads, because we would love to chat about this weekend. Of course, we're talking about the Division 1 games this weekend, and it's Dublin Mayo. Double end of things there with Brian Fenton and James McCarthy retiring. Aaron, like, it probably goes without saying they are going to be 2 colossal losses from that dressing room. Obviously, leadership, I suppose, desire, will to win, and probably 2 of the best we've probably ever seen play the game. From a Dublin end of things, Mr. Prendergast, it's going to be tough without them.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. Like, there's a lot of it's obviously what they can do on the pitch, but the experience and the mentality and the character they obviously bring, and they get the best out of everyone else around them as well. And then missing a few of the cooler lads at the start of the league is going to be huge. And I'd agree with Kevin as well. Like, I think Dublin probably will get relegated. to be honest with you. And it's weird because I don't think it's actually that big of a deal. Like, we'll probably go down, come back up.
Yeah.
Last time we were in Division 2, we won the All-Ireland, so I don't really think it's that big of a deal. But yeah, no, like, I'm excited to see like some fresh faces, maybe Killian McGuinness coming in. Luke Bretnick looks like a very good player. You know, a few of the other kind of cooler lads, I'd love to see them get more of a chance. Maybe later in the league. So yeah, there's a few new faces to come in. And the thing is about Dublin is that it is a huge county. The club championship is so competitive. There's so much players there. Like, Brian Fenton wasn't an underage star, as an example, and he was just brought in and was an absolute superstar. So there's players there in the county that we probably haven't even heard of that we'll be speaking about, you know, in a couple of months' time. So I don't think all is lost with Dublin, but it certainly is definitely a big transition, and certainly a more of a transition than probably we've seen in a long time with Dublin.
They can take it because they have the numbers, or, you know, they just won a Club All Ireland. They've been in fighting for Club All Ireland within their clubs for the last few years. They have enough numbers, or they have enough talent within the county. It's just hard to get them up to that transition as quick as it is. You're replacing greats, and whoever comes in might end up better. You never know, but you are replacing greats of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like losing Daniel Goodin from the podcast, lads. My God, I don't know. Well, we've got Conor McAliskey, former Tyrone footballer, and we've got it's just been a busy day of recruitment, guys. Who's the other lad we have? Anton Sullivan from Offaly. So the more things change, guys, the more things change. The other game in Division 1 this weekend, guys, it's Kerry against Donegal in Fitzgerald Stadium in Killarney at 1:45 in the Alliance Football League Division 1. Looking forward to this game this weekend. I suppose, Mr. Prendergast, you did make the point, or was it Mr. Kenny made the point that we probably might not get to see the Cliffords this weekend. Who knows? Be very interesting to see. Obviously, Jimmy McGuinness has Michael Murphy back, and Mr. Kennedy. Oh, is he going to play goals? What's he going to do this year? In fairness to you, you didn't. It's not like you harped on about this online. You really didn't harp on about this at all.
Well, I hear. Whenever you think about it, right? I know it sounds madness. There was people out there who, you know, I heard people saying, if you think Michael Murphy is going to do nets, you haven't got a clue about football and all this jazz. It's worth thinking about. It is. I mean, when did I call it? Back in November, whenever he first came back, I looked at it and says, whenever Jim McGuinness went back in, he writes about in his book, he says, I'm going to build a team around about Michael Murphy. He's not building a team about Michael Murphy this time. It's a different ask. It's what Michael Murphy can do for Donegal. You know, how can he help that team rather than Jim McGuinness having the remote thing. They got the All-Ireland semi-final without Michael Murphy. They were within 2 kicks of a ball from beating Galway to get into an All-Ireland final. And had they got into an All-Ireland final, they would have won it. But they were 2 kicks of a ball away from beating Galway that day. And what was missing from it? Somebody who could kick outside the arc. They hit 10 scores in the first half, and they took a 40% drop in their scores in the second half because it didn't have somebody who could make a bit of a difference and come on, hit outside that arc. They're not going to play bomb and ball into them. That's not their game. They're quick, they're aggressive, they hit more shots than any team last year. Michael Murphy in nets is a wild card, but I mean, if he's not in nets on Sunday, if he is in nets on Sunday, Jesus, that'll be a shock to me if he is in nets on Sunday. Jim McGuinness is not stupid. He's not going to go out in the first week and say, boom, there you go. Michael Murphy's in nets, end of. If Michael Murphy goes into nets at all for Donegal this year, it might be in the second half of an Ireland semi-final.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Aaron was yawning there, so he's fed up listed.
He's not the only one.
He's getting fed up listed, Mr. Kennedy.
He's not fed up listening to himself.
One comment in from the Dublin and things there, a loyal listener of ours, Gavin O'Reilly. I thought Dublin would get relegated initially, but the Coola lads were great yesterday. Depends if they're integrated, Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, but look, I think it's just they need a rest. You don't go away from 1 week to the next, even to come back in. Desi Farr would be pretty foolish to bring in players there who are not, maybe Con, if Mick Fitz goes back. There's a big if over that. What is he now? 35. You might let the dust settle, and could exit the scene. Colin, if he goes back into it as well, I think he would be, you know, well entitled to start straight away. But the rest of the lads, I don't think they. If you talk about team dynamics, they can't just go in and start right half forward, right half back, and especially for them lads who've been training for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah,
I think, you know, they probably might done Dublin for a while, you know, in the training team, but I think maybe, you know, it might be this third game before any cool lads are brought back in.
Yeah. Absolutely. So hopefully that answers your question, Gavin. And will Kerry get the job done this weekend, Mr. Kennedy, or will Donegal spring a surprise?
I think Donegal are more likely to win because, I mean, you listen enough, you hear the Cliffords aren't really back. I think Donegal have players back in there. Jim McGuinness would love to win an egg and spoon race. You know, everything he does, it's about winning and progression. And Jim McGuinness has his players that, you know, you can bet your back, say what happened to Derry last year, what happened to Mayo last year, wouldn't happen to Donegal. And in fact, it didn't happen to Donegal. Donegal won Division 2 on the same day or the same weekend, and then they beat Derry, what was it, 10 days later or so. So Donegal, for me, Jim McGuinness would love to go out and win Division 1. His mentality is win. And I think his book's called Until Victory Always, or Until Victory.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, everything he does, or is there, Until Victory Always, yeah. So everything he does, it's about winning. Jack O'Connor, not so much. I think Jack O'Connor and Kerry, I do think Kerry are better primed to win Division 1. But I think that I've never read Bernard Brooklyn's one. Don't particularly plan on reading Bernard Brooklyn's one there. Nothing against them, it just I think that Kerry probably are going to go for more of a performance on it. I think Cian O'Neill will come in. You look at Galway last year in their first game, were beat out the door, but was by Mayo by 10 points or so. It didn't really affect them. Paddy Talley last year, speaking to him, it's all about performance for Kerry. But they could have a lot of depth in there. Adrian Spillane lit up the show whenever it came to the sandbox games. You can see he'll get probably lots of game time for it. It'll be interesting to see the Donegal dynamics, where they have the ability to get up and down the pitch as much as they did last year, against probably, you know, seasoned campaigners in Division 1, 2 as well. But yeah, I don't know. I would fancy Donegal for the win, just because I think that Kerry are less fussed about the league.
Yeah. No, another comment in there. Gavin, thank you very much for all these comments. Keep the comments coming in. Would Michael Murphy be quick enough to go up the pitch if he was in goals like Rory Beggan was against Mayo in that challenge game?
So he's not going to be doing that. Rory Beggan, this is the whole thing. If you go back and listen to this, is my logic to it, right? Monaghan's full attack is based around about Rory Beggan. Every attack that Monaghan get has to go through Rory Beggan. Almost the same as Scottstown. It's let's get Rory up, let's create that +1, and let's get him to hit a score for whatever it is. They're very slow and methodical in their play. There's no such thing as a quick thing in Monaghan. I don't know whether it's just the air down there or what, but they don't do anything at any great pace. And the concern for me is that they still haven't changed from last year. Donegal don't need him to join every attack. So Donegal's game plan last year was win a turnover and go hell for leather and get up that pitch and get quick. They didn't score an awful lot of goals in the league last year, but what they will do is they'll contribute loads of points. 30 shots they would hit a game, right? If they get 50% conversion on that, 15 points, they potentially are going to win games on 15 points, or they would have last year. Where Donegal are going to use Murphy is that Murphy will stay back if he does net says Murphy will stay back. If Donegal don't get a goal in their first attack, they try and take a point inside that arc. And if they can't get a clean shot off inside that arc, they're going to hold on to the ball for 2 minutes. The problem with Donegal in the past has been that whenever they have the ball for 2 minutes, they've nobody who can take a shot, apart from Michael Langland, who had a couple of scores, Mick Beardy and Oisin Gallen. But those boys are being man-marked. They're going to ask Murphy to come up slowly into the play and join the play, drag it all out the left-hand side, and allow Murphy to creep up, not go unnoticed, but allow him to creep up, and that'll be almost like do you know the Johnny Wilkinson, the Ronan Gardner, the drop goal? You plan for the drop goal. That's what way they're going to use him. They're not going to ask him to join every attack. If he joined 10 attacks in a game, I'd be surprised. So he doesn't need to be quick.
But this is all going on. Do we actually think he will be in nets this weekend?
No, I don't think he'll be in nets this weekend. But Gavin's question there was, comparing
Yeah.
the begging, right? So I don't think he'll do nets. I think we'll probably see him once in nets this year, and it'll be at a time whenever he's needed. He may come on for Sean Patton in the last 20 minutes of a game. That type of thing there. But the logic, I think this is where a lot of people are getting me confused whenever it comes into that +1 and the +1. Like Andy McEntee is looking after Antrim. He's saying everybody is going to be waiting on a +1. Fuck me, please don't. Please don't. If that's your game plan, hand the reins over to somebody else right now. That's why Monaghan are not going to go up there, because they're going to rely on Rory Began join every single attack to create a +1. The game plan's going to be very simple. We talked about it loads last year, whereby the biggest shift last year in Gaelic football was in terms of time. The longer you had the ball, the less likely you are to score. Jim McGuinness isn't stupid. He'll be aware of that. He will try and get from a turnover or a kick out, he'll try and get a shot off within 50 seconds to a minute. And that increases your chances of scoring. If you have the ball for 70 seconds, anywhere 90 seconds plus, you're more unlikely to score because teams are then set up in defence. You've only got roughly about a 20% conversion at the minute outside the 40-meter mark. Your percentage chances of scoring the longer you have the ball decreases an awful lot. And if Murphy does nets at all this year, it'll be in one clutch moment to get them through an All-Ireland semi-final.
Yeah. Very, very interesting point you make, Mr. Kennedy. I really hope it all goes through for you, because you've worked hard on that one. So fingers crossed, my man, and all goes well in that regard. And then we'll move on to the Division 2 action, lads. This weekend, you have Cork against Meath in Super Value Park Equive at 5:00 this Saturday. So obviously, Mr. Hurley would be really looking forward to this game. It'll be very interesting. I think it's going to be very tight once again. Probably two similar teams in the league when it comes to it. I think every game in Division 2 is going to be so important. I think we'll touch on our Cavan game now in a couple of minutes. But every game is just going to be so important. Obviously, it's going to be a complete dogfight in Division 2 this year, I feel. But it's going to be an interesting one this weekend, Mr. Kennedy. Sorry, Mr. Prendergast. Sorry, go on, Mr. Kennedy. Sorry.
Yeah. No, let Arm work away. Arm knows Cork and Meath. He's only across the border.
It's a hard one to know, really, to be honest. Like, I think Cork are going in with a bit of negativity. Like, I think they've had 8 or 9 players, I think, that have left the panel. Like, Stephen Sherlock's not going to be there. Kevin Flahav has gone to Australia. There's a good group of lads that won't be there, so there's a huge change in players. Like, they were kind of hard to watch at times. Cork last year, they were very, very defensive. They're one of them teams that are very good at playing the better teams. You know, they beat Donegal last year, but lost to, Louth on 2 occasions. Don't get me wrong, Louth are a very good side, but you beat Donegal and then lose to Louth twice. It's kind of a little bit unusual. But Meath, like, to be fair, like, Meath have got a good manager coming in Robbie Brennan. He's obviously part of everything good that Kilmacud Crokes did. There's a great amount of young players coming through Meath at the moment. Definitely, from speaking with Meath people, it's the most excited they've been in a while in terms of the young players that are coming through. But it's just about kind of putting them, there's so many of them coming through that it's like trying to put them all into the one team. You have a lot of them playing Sigerson Cup as well. So yeah, to be honest with you, I do think Cork might nick it, maybe by a point or two. But it especially with these open round of the league games, you're not going off any form or anything of that nature. It's very, very hard to know. Like, Meath definitely have a few players there that I could see could do the damage. But it's just so hard to know,
Yeah, but it's hard to know about a lot of these games. But I do like Robbie Brennan. Like, I was watching that interview with him. He done it off the ball. Like, he's astute. He's very balanced. He doesn't get too excited. Like, so if I was a Meath fan, I already would be excited. He's a quality backroom team there with Marty Corey. Marty was a Castlerahan here a couple of years ago. He was a Cavan a couple of years ago. He was probably the reason behind Cavan's Ulster Championship there in 2020. He's a quality coach. He was obviously with Monaghan and Vinnie Corey there last year. Is it Joe McMahon? Joe McMahon obviously with Tyrone. Like, so, like, the lads will put in a serious shift. I think, Aaron, you're right. It'll not be this year we'll see it, but I think potentially next year we'll probably see the fruits of the lads' labour. But your thoughts on all that, Mr. Kennedy?
Yeah, I think a lot of question marks sit over Cork more so now. Like I expected them to get promoted last year because I was impressed with what the bones of what I saw against Derry the year before on Croke Park, and then we're trying to bring kicking game into it more. This game, the new game of 3 Up is built for a kicking game. You know, it's built for a kicking game. But Meath have had a lot of under 20 and under 21 potential for the last few years without actually doing the damage on it. But I think out of them all, I think Cork need the win more so. I think they're really going to be given time to breathe, time to settle into the team. But yeah, I think it's a massive game for them. And just to say that we're here, I wouldn't be surprised if it ended on a draw. I do see me finishing third in that Division 2, but I see Cork finishing second. And if you're going to finish second or you're going to finish first, you need to win all your home games. So I probably, if I was going to tip my hat one way, it'd be Cork by a point or two.
Comment in there once again from Gavin. Thanks very much for your comments, Gavin. Cork haven't won their opening league game in a while. Can't remember the stat, but it's a massive game. 10th anniversary since Cork were relegated in 2015. My God, he's an encyclopedia, this man. We'll have to come on sometime. Have to win this game if they want to go up. There you go, Mr. Prendergast. Hitting stats at you.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that when they got relegated to 3 or 2? I think it might have been, maybe they got relegated to 2. But yeah,
that's some anniversary. Jeez, we have an incredible anniversary coming up this weekend, lads.
I don't know. You should send that over to Matthew Hurley or something. And he might, I don't know. He might. Maybe that's the real reason why Daniel's leaving the chat and everything else with everything with this Cork thing. But yeah, no, like it is huge for Cork, especially the size of the county, the resources that they have. Parky Queeve, it had a huge amount of underage success. I mean, I remember around 19 and 2018, 19, 20. I think they won 1 or 2 All Irelands. We just haven't seen barely any of them players come through. So yeah, it's huge. Like I wouldn't like it's a weird one with Division 2. I think Meath, like I have a funny feeling Meath will actually get relegated, but at the same time, I still think they're going to make a little bit of progress, if that makes sense. I just think this division is going to be like it's so even between a lot of the games. And looking at some of Meath's fixtures as well, like I think Meath's home games are against Monaghan, Roscommon, and I think it's against Cavan as well. So
against Cavan, just forget about it. Yeah,
the Cavan game they'll win. I've no. I think they'll win that game, to be fair. But it's the Roscommon and Monaghan game, and then the away games that they have as well are just a bit difficult. So, but yeah, no, I think it is huge for Cork, in fairness, and it's about time they, got their act together. Like.
I know. Well, look, Mr. Prendergast, he is to go down to Division 2 next year, so
we'll see them down there. We'll see them down there. Yeah.
And Cavan, we'll give you a big welcome. We'll move on to the biggest game of the weekend, lads. Cavan against Monaghan in Kingsburn Breffni Park at 6:00 this Saturday. As usual, Mr. Kennedy, nothing really coming from the camp. I think it's a real credit to county setup sheet here. Absolutely sweet all. Colm Nally is in as a coach this year for the Cavan lads, obviously with a few departures from the backroom team, and Colin will bring a load of experience. He's had so many. I suppose he's part of that FRC committee. He's been in with me. He's been with Kildare. He's been in with Silverbridge and Armagh there. So Colin's a great lad to bring in. Big game this weekend. Obviously, the news that Conor McManus has finished up playing for Monaghan is probably a bit of a plus for Cavan, really, because if you'd seen him coming on this weekend, you'd be worrying. But it's one to look forward to. Cavan have had a few challenge matches. We played against Galway. We've had games against Kerry. We played against Derry. So been a couple of games in between. But it's a local derby this weekend, and all form goes out the window.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on what way Cavan go about it. Cavan are probably a wee bit less predictable in the fact, I haven't seen them play it, but at the same time, if Paddy Lynch is back, then he's built for this type of game. There's very few in Cavan or Monaghan in terms of forwards left outside of McManus who would be on the same level as Paddy Lynch. And I think the way Cavan played, even against Dublin last year, they get what the modern game of football is, and it's shoot and shoot often. It's not hit 20 shots and rely on the conversion rate of 70 or 5 or 80%. Like they came out against Dublin and it was a wee bit chaotic, but they hit some amount of shots. They'll be working on that their transitions are a lot quicker, they're faster, and they'll be aiming maybe for 30 shots in the game. If you get 50 to 60% of your conversion rates on 30 shots, you win most games. Monaghan, for me, I think actually Monaghan appointing, sorry, the guy names forget me now, but I know he's been involved for a wee while. I think yeah, see, he's been involved in the background and the coaching stuff. I just think it's a huge mistake to be appointing someone who's been in that background team playing. I'm not going to say negative football, but not good football. Painful football at times as well. Like I watched them against Derry up there 2 years ago, and they should have beat Derry. They were very impressive that day. But they've only got one game plan. You've seen what happened whenever Began didn't play for them last year, apart from the Dublin game, which I think they were down 12 points or so at one stage as well, Aaron, against Dublin. I think that that game was almost over. But Monaghan haven't. I said it last year against for Mayo as well. I haven't, from what I know or what I've seen, they haven't changed over the winter. And that's a massive. If you don't change and evolve in Gaelic football, you're going backwards. They went backwards last year. They ended up in Division 2. They're not getting out of Division 2 this year. Could Cavan get a win? They could get a win. I think Cavan may come away with a win this weekend.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, another coming in from Gavin O'Reilly there is Paddy Lynch back. Again, not much reports. I think there's talk maybe April, May, so I think he should be and hopefully ready to rock for the championship. It was a serious injury that he got, and he obviously missed all of Crushlaw's championship last year, and obviously Crushlaw came out on top of Cavendish or last year in the championship. So Paddy won't be back. I don't think he was on the bench for some of them Crushlaw games, but I don't think he was near it. So the sounding seemed to be the championship. Big Roe McKernan's back. We've Nevin O'Donnell back as well. Nevin was with Leitrim the last couple of years. He was between the sticks and he's really perfected that goalie position because like the last couple of years he was playing outfield for his club, like wing forward, a very, very useful wing forward. So I think Ray obviously kind of targeted that sort of kind of come out, give us a hand, come out the field. And obviously with the new rules, it really could suit Nevin. And then we've a guy called Sean McAvoy. He's a Rammer Club man. He went to America to play soccer and he's come back now to fight for the Breffni cause. So a good few reasons to be positive. But again, this game this weekend, it's so hard to call. Monaghan, we've had their number the last couple of years. They had our number a couple of years ago. So yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting. And I hope to share the same views as Mr. Kennedy and coming away from Breffni Park with a win at the weekend. And then we'll touch on to the other action in Division 2 on Sunday, lads. It's Roscommon against Down in King and Moffat. Oh, there's a new sponsor for Dr. Hyde Park at 2:00. And it's going to be a good game this weekend. Very difficult place for Down to go to, Mr. Kennedy, but they will need the 2 points.
Yeah, they'll not get it against Roscommon. Roscommon are praying just to go straight back up in Division 2 or Division 1 next year. I think they have a forward line. A lot of players are coming back in. They have a forward line there who's going to cause serious trouble in Division 2 this year. Down, Conor Lafferty will play the same sort of football he did against Armagh, and look at the rewards they got from that. They got within touching distance of beating the eventual Iron champion. So Conor Lafferty, he's no mug, he's no fool whenever it comes to being naive about football. He's very intelligent in terms of how he plays and what way he plays football. They Down have some great players. Danny McGill I watched against Antrim the other week in a challenge game. Fellas, it's just a great baller. They do have good footballers, but I know that they will struggle for scores from distance. They're not prolific scores from distance if it comes down to that. At the back, they're also pretty weak as well. They're not, they get open at the back a good bit in terms of their one-on-one. The Keelan Doherty is always given a man marking job, so I'm not sure what way Cavan will end if Ben O'Carroll's back. That's probably the most dangerous man. Even is it Dar Craig, whoever the most dangerous man for Roscommon is, Keelan Doherty will be given a task of marking him, but I don't think that it will be an easy day out for Down, and I do think Roscommon will get off to a good start. They will get up into Division 1, and I think that they have the potential if Mark Dornan can get a tune at them, if God, what do you call it?
Davy Burke.
Yeah, Davy Burke. Yeah, I was thinking of that. if he has too much say, Ross Common or Goost. I'm just not a fan of his at all. I think that if Mark Dorn has a better say, I think Mark Dorn's been on the line a bit more than Davy Burke and giving out sort of commands and shouts and that. It has to be a concern that Davy Burke is in his third head coach in 3 years. That has to be, a concern from anybody. But if Mark Dorn can get a tune out of him, they will give Connacht the good rattle this year. I don't think they'll make huge strides in the All Ireland series, but I think that they will be back up Kingpins iconic by the end of the sort of provincial championships. I just think they're in for a good year.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish Mark Dorn obviously the very best luck with what's come this year. I'd be on the old WhatsApp to him now and again, so I wish him the very, very, very best luck this weekend, and of course for the year ahead. And another comment in from Gavin O'Reilly here. Roscommon really missed Ben O'Carroll and Kieran Murray last year, but I hope Davy brings in younger forwards though, like Adam McDermott and Shane McGinley. Who wants to take that one? Maybe Mr. Prendergast?
Yeah, no, like I was doing some stats on some I was just looking through at some young players who might come into the fold. Just for my own channel, was working on a video there, and Shane McGinley, look, I think he was the top scorer in the under-20 football championship last year. So he's definitely a player to come into Roscommon, and yeah, I'd agree with Kev there as well. Like I think Roscommon are primed to come back in. Like they have is it Kieran Murray to come back in, Keane McKeown as well. Ben O'Carroll, who was outstanding for Bridget's, obviously missed a good chunk of last season. So, and to be fair to Roscommon, like it's Division 2 is their bread and butter. Like this is what they do. They've done this numerous times before, so I don't think it will be anything new for them or any unknown territory. And yeah, I think Down have made progress, but you would have to feel like they haven't made enough progress to beat a team like Roscommon away from home on their opening game. But if they were to pull anything off, like that would be some statement.
Yeah.
Absolutely, lads. And the other last game of the weekend in Division 2, lads, it's Westmeath against Louth in TEG Cusack Park at 2:00 on Sunday. I suppose Mr. Kennedy going into this one. Westmeath are under the stewardship now of former Cavan All-Star Derek McCabe, and obviously news in recent weeks that John Heslin has retired as well, so he's going to be a huge loss to that Westmeath fold, that Westmeath setup, and obviously not what Derek McCabe probably wanted in his first year in charge of them, but he has to plan accordingly. An interesting game this weekend once again.
You think so?
I have to do this, Mr. Kennedy. I have to do this.
I think Louth watching them.
See, I had you convinced there. I had you convinced, didn't I?
You have me thinking about it anyway. I think it's going to be a baptism of fire for McCabe. Obviously with Saul has it going. I think that he's a brilliant player for Westmeath over the years. I don't know whether he age is caught up with him now, but is he 32? Was he
32? I think, yeah.
I think it's something around that. He's still young enough to be playing. What has happened between December to now that has got him? Maybe I don't know whether he was in training with them or maybe he's just went, you know what, it is the times now. I'm gone. I'm not sure. Maybe it's injuries. Don't know what the background to it is, but it's obviously not a great start for Darren McCabe. Whereas on the other hand, you have Louth sent a training panel up to Antrim, a training panel to play Antrim. So that's the type of numbers that they're getting to their training sessions now. Aren't touching a point earlier on around about the.
But like a small thing on that, sorry, Kevin, but like Mickey Hart, like I know obviously the Derry, when Derry came knocking, he went for that, but a penny for his thoughts. Like that Loud project was a massive one to leave.
Yeah, it was, and they're doing something there at the minute whereby they're asking clubs to donate £300 a month for the next 10 years or whatever it is to build this stadium, but they'll get it. They're a small county with a huge passion, and whenever you have players like Mulroy there, who has been a shining example of what can happen. I only started following him on Twitter recently, and he's a lot smaller actually than he looks. He doesn't look. Whenever he's playing, he looks massive and huge. And then you see him on his Instagrams. He does these Instagrams whereby he's here, and then he comes in again here and talks to himself. It's quite funny. I like watching him. I like his wee things. But a talent of a footballer, and he actually doesn't look. He looks a lot more athletic as opposed to.
He's a big, strong man. He's in some
yeah. But that's what he looks athletic. As in, whenever I've seen him in the past, he's looked just square and like a lump of a lot. But he doesn't look like that. I don't get the impression. I think like he's almost developed even further into this athlete. I and they're now littered with players who are not sure in confidence. Look at their performance at times in the Leinster final, was it, against, or Leinster semi-final against Dublin, whereby they weren't afraid to go at them. They weren't afraid to hit shots. They were taking shots from distance. And I think that they have a few boys in that team who are definitely worth their weight in gold whenever it comes to hitting 2-pointers this year.
Yeah. Absolutely. It'll be a very interesting game this weekend, make no doubt about it. And then we'll kind of whiz through the fixtures. That clock is running on us in the Allianz League Division 3 games this weekend. You've Leitrim against Laois on Saturday at 2:30, and then you have Kildare against Fermanagh in Cedral St. Connet's and Newbridge at 5:00 on Saturday. And then on Sunday in Division 3, you have Antrim against Clare in Carrigan Park, Belfast at 1:00. Mr. Kennedy, your first game of the year to go to.
Yeah, I've been Emin and Hammond about going to it for the last couple of months, to be honest. The last couple of weeks since it came out, I was thinking, first game, I don't want to go and watch in Division 1 team, but look, there's enough games on TV this weekend that I can catch up on during the week, because I like to go and watch a game and say, oh, Jesus, here, that's what they're doing. TV doesn't always capture that, but I'm going to go to the Antler game. I'm not looking forward to it, to be honest. I was at their game a couple of weeks ago against Jordanstown. They were annihilated by Wexford a week before, but they were missing an awful lot with injuries. And again, we still don't have the best players in the county playing. Andy hasn't added anything to his team from last year. And to me, I might sound a bit critical because I actually like him whenever you get speaking to him. Andy Mergant, he's making excuses before balls even through in. And hopefully it's some sort of master game plan whereby he's going to say, had you all food and I were up in the Division 2. But whenever he's saying all this is going to lead to more mistakes and more human errors, yeah, do you not think Jack O'Connor's thinking like that? Do you not think Pipe just get fucking on with it and move and just get your team playing as best as they can? To me, he's been in 2 or 3 articles in the last 2 weeks saying, look, it's going to be a lot of chaos. That to me is putting up excuses. I think he knows he's in for a tough year. Only Leitrim are relegated in my view. Only before balls through in, only Leitrim are relegated in my view. And there's potentially only one place up for grabs. I would have Antrim at the bottom of the pit.
There you go.
Too easy to at the minute. They're too easy to defend against because they're waiting on Michael Burton, the keeper, to become a +1. They're too easy to defend against, and they're not good enough defensively because they're chasing balls. Joe McMahon is it down, or Justin McMahon's in Meath?
Yeah. Joe McMahon.
Well, we got Justin. Justin's been in there for the last 2 years, and I think he started off doing. He was a masseuse, and Andy liked chatting to him. And he ended up as our defensive coach, and you can tell.
Justin Timberlake, could do with him.
It's just a disaster. They just don't have it. To me, look, it's Andy's last year. In my view, if he doesn't go up this year,
it will be his last year. Yeah,
he was doing the same when he was with Mead as well. Though it was always excuses and chatter.
He won't want to go. Yeah, he won't want to go. Another won't want to get rid of him. Who's going to go into your Antrim? We're fucked. Excuse my French. I get very aggressive whenever we talk about Antrim. We're rudderless. We have our manners of the last number of years have been getting tanked. Actually, someone says to me not too long ago about the under-21 team this year that they're the good team coming through. They won a game before. That's and I went, what? They said, I think they won a league game against Monaghan one time. We are just clueless. We're rudderless, and that comes from our county secretary and everybody up in the top brass making decisions that are the worst in the world front. They may be well intended, but no, they're too egotistic.
Coming in there from the brother, giving us a bit of support there, lads. Great chat, lads. Good man, Mick. Hope you have a beer in hand watching on from Virginia. That Antrim thing, but Davy Fitz up there doing that for the good of his health, I'd say, Mr. Kennedy, not getting his health. Getting a fortune, and you know what? They have a limit with hurling too, because again, they're relying on county boys playing 1 or 2 from Belfast. Gael Fast was the biggest disaster that's ever happened, and no one's coming out to talk about it because they want to cover it up. Look at what the GPOs, I'm not saying it's GPOs because obviously Kula and Nafina have had to do their own work as well, but the Dublin method of why is Antrim not following a tried and proven working framework like Dublin? Our clubs can afford it. We can afford to play a couple $100,000 between 2 managers to take our senior footballers and senior hurlers. Clubs can afford 15-20 grand to get one
player in to take a club team, which again our club structures are shocking as well. But we have some, like Paddy McBride has been going with Antrim must be for 15 years. He tries as hard as the fella doesn't stop. You've Mick Byrne there, you've even Joe Finnick, you've just these boys in there who will continue to try. But Andy's not managing Antrim. He'd be a good coach, but he's not managing Antrim. Like, you speak to boys, you're not in the panel anymore. Why are you not in the panel? You're one of the best. You're in the top 3 forwards in the county. Why are you not in that panel? Don't know. I wasn't getting a look in. He wasn't speaking to me, and I'm away. I mean, did you not have one-to-ones with him? What's a one-to-one? Like, you not sit down with him and say, "Here's your plan. Here's what you need to go right." You have him off? No, Jesus, that doesn't work. I think between our top 3 teams, if you say maybe in the top 4 teams, between Corrigan and Portland are definitely the top 2 teams. Then you're going down to maybe Craig and Agagallon. We've about 2 players from the most top 4 teams playing for Antrim. There has to be a reason for it. And that's not, like, there's boys in there who I do rate. I think, like, Kiwi Kavanagh's coming on a good bit. Ronan Boyd's a good footballer. There's boys in there. Niall Burns. Like, Niall Burns would be one of the top 5 forwards in Antrim on his day for scores. Corner forward, and Andy plays him most of last year, and halfback. Just doesn't make sense. Jesus Christ, come on.
Coming in from on Cliha there, obviously Seamus Brady, a great podcast that he does there, a friend of the podcast, and we're a friend of his. Under Andy Mead, we're 1 step forward and 2 steps back. I see Antrim doing similar. They impressed me under McGinley. They were very competitive against with McGinley. I thought they gave Cavan a good tussling. Was it 2022? I think he did have them competitive, but look, it is the age old thing, and like I like obviously Kevin McGurty going on about this, your good self going on about this, Kev. Like, I think it seems to be an age old thing with Antrim at this stage. Like, and it seems to be the same problems the whole time, structurally not winning games and underage. Like, it just like. It's very much like a lot of problems within the GA to me, Mr. Prendergast have discussed in years gone by. Like, it's a continuous thing. But like, to sum up, Mr. Kennedy, what kind of needs to happen in Antrim football for you guys to really start developing?
Well, actually, funny enough, I was in Candy Centre last week and a guy stopped me, and I didn't think he listened to, I didn't think he was a follower or anything like that. And he says, "Look, I have to say to you, enjoy your stuff and listen to you and all good insights and all that." Yeah, so I was buzzing with that. Nice people to sort of give you that recognition.
JMac fellas brought you on, yeah.
All that. But I was surprised. I ended up in a conversation with her for about a half an hour. Antrim they need to get. Don't get me wrong. Frankie Quinn is probably, he's been there and he's done his work and he's very intelligent in terms of the rules and everything like that, but he needs to take a sideward step. Someone else, they need to appoint a CEO of hurling or a CEO of football. They need to take out the bureaucracy that goes on with it. Someone like maybe Kevin Gamble, who's the chairperson of one of the sort of subcommittees now in terms of South Antrim. He's a fellow there who has developed project management. He knows his sports development in the background. There's brilliant people in Antrim. Like, there is. You look at PD, you look at John McKeever, you look at all these lads around about the county who are all saying the same thing. I'm not saying anything. I'm not just saying this to me, but a lot of people saying to me, nothing will change until something changes. People want change, but nothing happens. They need to get rid of Frankie Quinn needs to go retire. He's done brilliant to get to where he is now. Take a cyber step and let somebody young and innovative come in who can take the bull by the horns and be in a project for the next 10, 15 years. Stop worrying about fucking Casement Park. It'll happen if it happens. It's political football now. It's not going to help Antrim in the short term. Get somebody in who will have the balls to change for improvement. Stop having under 8s and under 10s, under 12 matches every weekend. Every other weekend with 15 kids playing and then 15 quid standing on the sideline. Take someone there, have the approaches. You do 3-a-sides or 4-a-sides. Just change the whole thing. What we've been doing for the last 30 years hasn't worked. Why we continue to do it? But you saying something, you're the worst in the world.
Oh, stop, Mr. Kennedy. I could write a book on it, but look at that is very well surmised, Mr. Kennedy, and fair play to you. Last game of Division 3 of the weekend, lads. It's Offaly against Sligo in Glennis O'Connor Park at Tullamore at 2:00 on Sunday, and then we'll move into the Division 4 action, lads, over the weekend. The Alliance Football League Division 4 on Saturday. You've Carlow against Tipperary in Netwatch Cullen Park at 6:00. You have Wexford against London in Chadwick's Wexford Park at 7 o'clock on Saturday. And then on Sunday, in the final games of the league, you have Wicklow against Waterford in Eklund Park, Aughrim at 2 o'clock. And in the last game, you have Longford against Limerick at Glennon Brothers Pierce Park at 2 o'clock. So all the games wrapped up nice and smoothly, lads. I suppose to kind of surmise, lads, as usual, it's back once again. And sorry if I've caught you in the hop. I hope you're prepared for this. Mr. Prendergast, your bet of the weekend and player to watch.
Oh, bet of the weekend. Oh, that is an interesting one.
Sorry, Mr. Kennedy, you look.
I've a funny feeling Derry might do something against Tyrone. Do you know that? I know Tyrone maybe might be. I don't know if it's necessarily a bet of the weekend. Like I think both teams maybe might be slightly even. But I could see Derry doing something in that game, just with a couple of players that Tyrone are going to be missing, obviously from Eric Kieran. And I could fancy Derry maybe just sort of silencing people a little bit, given how much criticism they got last year. They'll have a bit of a vendetta about them as such. So yeah, I think bet of the weekend I'll go with Derry maybe to cause the shock. And in terms of player of the week, I'm gonna go Paul Conroy because he scored a couple of 2-pointers actually in the challenge game for Galway the other day when I was watching it. And I think he could definitely be a player to light it up with that with those new rules.
Yeah. I think was it Paul Conroy was on the BBC Social Podcast. I think Oisin McConville says to him, like, did Paul Conroy pick teaching to do the career he has? But you're like, what career does McConville have? And he's taken every job under the sun. But Mr. Kennedy,
What do you ask me? The podcast or the better?
Yeah, you're better than week. Sorry, just something came into my head there. You know me. I like giving out.
It was like a car hit me here. Bet of the weekend, I'm going to go with a draw in the Kerry and Donegal game on Sunday. I'll take that for a draw. And I think I don't even know if he's in the squad or not, but if a young lad does nets for Newbridge, Gribben, he's related to the Gribbens of Corgan here, but if he does nets for Derry against, it'll be interesting to see what way he plays. I don't know if he's even in the panel or not or whatever, but just if it's not Lynch, it might be him.
Okay. Very interesting.
That's like saying keep an eye out for me for Antrim this weekend. It might never happen. Mine never will happen.
Who knows? You could be part of that backroom team. You're going on about it a lot.
Yeah, the only time I'd be part of any Antrim backroom team for the foreseeable, or you'll catch me on TV talking about Antrim, is whenever Andy McEntee's chased me around the pitch trying to get a hold of me for slobbering about him.
Yeah. I'd watch your back, Mr. Kennedy. It's dangerous. Another comment in there.
It all comes from a good place. We have potential.
Keep the comments coming in, guys. If you're there, Gavin O'Reilly, Leitrim to beat Laois somehow would be a big bet.
Jesus, you're right, Gavin.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean it would be a huge bet, but you would lose your money, I think. Famous last words now. Watch Leitrim go on a Stephen Poacher masterclass as Leitrim pull off the ultimate shock.
It'll be here. It's going to be massive to see what way Poacher goes about it. I think he's probably the most talked about. Like I said, they're down already, and that's okay. If Danielson Ledger in there, I listen to their podcast sometimes. I hear an awful lot what they say, and I just, to me, I don't mean this in a bad way, but if I was getting taken a team, I wouldn't be asking you two to get involved, and likewise, I don't think that you would ask me to get involved because it's almost too. I mean, that's not a nice bit. It's almost too cozy. You almost say, yes, John, we talked about it before. Jobs for the boys. You need to be able to challenge people constructively and say, I don't agree with that. And
I did. Just for the crack, a couple of years ago, I says to Dan Goulding, Jesus, Dan, we would make some team. Are you fucking joking me? We'd be too busy having too much crack. So it'd have been a dream.
It'd be like Ted Lasso or something like that.
Or Mike Bassett. Mike Bassett when he was manager, or Steve Braxnell. I'm loving his work on Instagram, man. There's a shout out for Steve. Very last thing, lads, and it's causing a lot of debate. It's causing a lot of topic at the minute. Rory Gallagher, men. Obviously, he was on the late. Well, Jared Burns was on the late last week about Rory Gallagher's proposed move to an HGA club there in Kildare. It's been blocked. I think Rory wants to go legal now. With obviously the comments Jared Burns said to an HGA club by email. I don't really know what Rory Gallagher's future is in the game at this point. I think if he goes anywhere, he's just going to be scrutinised. The club's going to be scrutinised. He's going to be scrutinised. It seems to be more hassle than it's going to be worth. Rory Gallagher's future in the game, Mr. Prendergast, and everything that's been talked about at the minute, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a. I mean, there's a lot of it's there seems a lot wrong about the entire the whole thing. Like, I mean, like with Gallagher in general, like it is such a touchy subject, obviously, to speak about, given obviously the allegations that were made against him. I think with those allegations, it probably wouldn't be the most clever thing for any county or any club to take him in as manager at the moment, just given those allegations that were there. Although there was never any, he's never, or nothing was ever done about those allegations. He was never convicted or anything of that nature. So I suppose there is the saying of innocent until proven guilty, and I don't think an allegation should necessarily ruin someone's career, whether it be a player or a manager. And yeah, like it's one of them. He's probably going to come back at some point. If he's able to manage in Corduff, why can't he manage in Naas? And then like with Jarlath Burns, like I don't know, like sending an email to a club to be saying that he can't be the be the manager is a little bit unusual. Then he's obviously doubled down on the Late Show as well. I don't know, to be honest, lads. It just seems all a little bit messed up and all a little bit all over the place. And should Naas be appointing him in the first place? Would they not have read the room? Of course, there was going to be a huge amount of uproar, a huge amount of reaction, because of it. And then, like, I don't know, can the GA president really step in and do something like that? And I've seen a lot of people say as well that Jarlath Burns has maybe been a bit too political at times, which I wouldn't necessarily disagree with as well. So it's, I don't really know where we go from here, to be honest with you. But it looks like, there's going to be some legal action taken.
I really, because I said it, she's in the group chat, lads. I really think Rory's just going to go hammer and tongue now. And I think Rory knows. I think he will go back to Corduff. I think he will give, obviously, Banty a dig out there, and he will go back down and I suppose pick up where he left. But like, I think it was a new leave for him to start in this. But then I put up a tweet about that job potentially happening, and my God, it was an onslaught really of abuse for Rory, and I suppose a lot of people with him, a lot of people against him. But it's just a complete mess, really, when you think about it. And I just don't know. I think there's so much damage done from all parties at this stage. But Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, I'm hesitant to say anything really. I'm hesitant to get involved and talk about it because I don't know enough about it. And I just think that Jarlath Burns got it. Look, he can say personal reasons for doing it. Did he have to do it? I don't know. I don't think he maybe should have said it, particularly whenever you think about how he handled the Kyle Hayes thing. If Kyle Hayes is accountable to the Leitrim or Limerick County Board, then surely Rory Gallagher is accountable to the Naas County Board. The same sort of logic should apply there. I just don't know. I do think the GAA needs to be political. I don't think they need to be party political, but I do think as an organisation we need to be political. And this is me going to be putting my northern hat on here and say about being left behind and all that jazz. But in the not too distant future, there'll be a talk around about unification of Ireland, and the GAA needs to be central and central point of that. They need to be driving this. They need to be selling the benefits of United Ireland to our dispersed range of members all over the place. I think Jarlath Burns can and will do that. He's met with certain orange orders. He's met with schools. He's very understanding of different cultures in there. So I think that there's huge role for the GAA to play whenever it comes to that the border poll talk that we will hopefully have in the not too distant future. But whenever you bring it down to the level of picking out individuals, and I was concerned whenever he says Rory Gallagher knows the way back. What is that? Does that put your hands up and say, actually, yes, I did do X, Y, and Z?
That's
he
what really
ends up in front of the PSNI, or he comes out and he says it was 100% wrong. Listen, it's like a child being scolded.
Yeah, that comment really interests me. Like, Rory knows the way back. Like, is that Jarlath saying, right, admit to a few bits and bobs here, or like what? Yeah, the detail of that comment does really interest me. And then obviously Patrick Healy kind of going on about the Kyle Hayes incident, and obviously the incident with the Armagh football team over Miami.
The Armagh one. Like, I get the Armagh one. I think the Armagh one's fine. You can't say what you can't say until I think it's nonsense around about political. You're your human right anonymity and stuff. If you're a suspected rapist or you're a suspected, I don't know, of harassment or whatever it is, you get named and shamed before there's a guilty conviction. There's no privacy afforded to Rory Gallagher here, and I just think that he avoided the Kyle Hayes thing at all. He could have come out and says, Kev was wrong and it's not the values we expect at GAA. But you can't go around because people in the GAA, for whatever way you want to frame it, have a lot worse convictions than a speeding offence. There's people who are members of the GAA. Are you going to start screening everybody to become a member of the GAA?
Yeah.
Don't know. I don't know. It's just not for me. It's not something for me to get involved in and talk about. But I do think that there's I would like to see GAA become more political in terms of not Fianna Gael, Fianna Fáil, and Sinn Féin, but as an island, how do we grow? Because we have a huge offering. We have a massive offering.
And do you agree with Jared Burns not retracting the statement, the email?
I think he was wrong to send it.
Okay.
I think he was wrong to send it. Look, if you want to be really blunt about it, why not pick up a phone and say, here, look, I don't think that'll be in the best interest, but, it's up to you to go on. To put it in an email opens yourself up to a can of worms. Like, Jesus Christ, come on. Plausible deniability. I'm sure he knows somebody who knows somebody to say, look, you might want to think about that. And then say, actually, we did think about it and that's grand. But he did say it was a private email. He says he didn't say either way, whether he should or shouldn't be appointed. But that's like me saying to you, John, look here, see that arm one? I leave it just up to you, but you're going to take that on and say, well, there's something not right about that. This fella holds, not me, I just the wrong scenario.
But sure, I know that about Aaron anyway, Kev. Like, you don't have to say
but I'm saying as the president of the GAA.
Normal, lads, come on.
If you're a you shouldn't have sent the email, end of.
No.
You shouldn't have sent the email.
No, but like he shouldn't have sent it. And like the onslaught that Nays were getting online, and they're getting calls, they're getting tweets.
How many of them give a flying fiddlers about Nays?
Oh, but like there weren't. After the news broke about him potentially getting a job, not a fitting. Burns probably shouldn't have bothered his backside really.
But even at that, it's the people who were giving off. Look, rightly so. Whatever. Social media is just a curse. It is a curse. But then you get people jumping on. Whether you agree with them or don't agree with them, whatever it is. None of them people who I've seen were Naas members. None of them people will be the ones who are collecting the euros for their lottery on a Sunday night around the doors. None of them are bringing their kids to the game. There was a girl saying, "Oh, I'm from Naas." You fucking never set foot in a GA club in your life. You have no interest in Naas GA. You're only getting involved now because it suits your agenda.
Yeah. Trial by social media. I would think so.
Horrendous.
Yeah. Aaron, suppose leave it up to you. What you reckon? The whole email should Burns bothered his backside.
Yeah, I'd agree with Kev. It probably should have just called up. I suppose, like, obviously, as president of the GA, there is a duty of care, and maybe he wanted to prove something or to show something, and make a kind of a bit of a statement, kind of by doing that. But as you said, it's probably just opened up a can of worms, and you think with the president of such an organization like the GA, there should be some sort of advisors around them that would say, maybe that's not such a great idea to do that. But yeah, I don't know, to be honest. Like, I'm not a legal expert, so I'll have to kind of just see how this pans out now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a legal expert. I'm just a slobber.
It's going to be very interesting to follow that, lads, because that story is definitely not over, and I think Rory is going to be. It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks, to say it bluntly, lads. But lads, thanks a million for joining me this week, and of course, this podcast is brought to you by orgoretro.com. Use my promo code JMac podcast to get 15% off on the website. New season, new year, new goals. Get yourself organised on orgoretro.com. Kevin Kennedy from the GA Sports Tracker app. Aaron Prendergast from Gaelic Games Fan TV. Thanks a million, lads. It's great to be back. Oh God, it feels good.
Good night, John. Good night.
Good stuff, lads. Chat to you again.